Welcome to Gracefully Graying. I am your host, Attorney Henry Gornbein. Please like this video, visit our Gracefully Graying YouTube channel and Gracefully Graying site so you can learn all about the ZoomCrew. Today on Gracefully Graying, I am pleased to welcome my guest, Allison Kaplan, the founder of the ZoomCrew, and Brett Powell, who is the business manager of the ZoomCrew, as we learn about a very high-tech way of working out with the ZoomCrew. Welcome, both of you. First of all, Allison, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and who you are?
My background consists of about 40 years, excuse me, I'm aging myself, but I'd say that's quite appropriate for
You started when you were 10.
Yeah, I've been in the fitness industry for 40 years. I actually was part of a veteran group that actually started fitness in Detroit, which is, kind of interesting. So I had moved from Arizona where I taught aerobics, which when I was in college and when I saw this sign, I'm like, what is that? What's aerobics? So I jumped in a course. I was that student that had to be in the front row. Long story short, when I moved back here, I took a position at the Jewish community, at the dance and gymnastics camp, and I was very young. And from there, one thing led to another, and I began teaching, doing some programming work. Eventually, I became director of, the health club. There were various directors, and I was one of them for a period of time. And so I've taught a variety of classes over the years. I've done all kinds of special training and work with different populations of people. I've also had a personal training business for 22 years. And that's about it.
Brett, same question, your background and how you became involved with the ZoomCrew.
My background's a little bit different. It's not as fitness oriented as Allison's, and I never thought that I'd find myself in this position. It wasn't quite as natural a path as Allison's was. I mean, she obviously, her life experience kind of led her to this point with the ZoomCrew. Mine's a little bit different. In my day life, I set up corporate wellness programs, so somewhat related. So for the last decade or so, I've been working in a family business where we help companies improve the life and well-being of their employees. But my involvement in the ZoomCrew began in this sort of roundabout way. When COVID hit, I was quarantining at my parents' house. I typically live in downtown Detroit, so I was with my parents in the suburbs, and my mom got involved very early on with Allison, just teaching classes to, their friends that wanted to participate. And so I kind of caught wind of my mom trying to use Zoom and teach classes that way. So that's kind of what just drew me into the picture a little bit, was just helping my mom. And then conversations started to arise with Allison directly about things as technical issues came up. And, we can get into how the actual ZoomCrew formed here in a little bit. But that's sort of how I initially got involved, was just being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And now you're part of it. I mean,
you're the right place at the right time.
Only kidding. It was the right place at the right time.
Got a wonderful group of trainers. I know my wife Debbie loves working out with the ZoomCrew. Allison, same question to you. I mean, you've been in training, personal training, yoga, all these various facets for many, many years, and you create the ZoomCrew, which is brilliant. Tell us about it.
Well, I have to say, I had no intentions of creating the ZoomCrew. Today, I still look back at it, and I'm like, how did this even happen? I didn't want this. I didn't want to work anymore. I was actually, on the verge of retiring because with grandchildren and all of this, now other things in my life, I just didn't have the time, to keep this all going. And, of course, grandchildren, are the number one priority for those grandchildren, right? Totally. So, but that didn't mean I ever wanted to give up teaching. I needed to just sort of pare things down. Anyhow, I was one of the first teachers that I know of that had to leave the studios and the Jewish Community Center and sports club very, very early on due to some underlying, health issues. It just so happened that my son is an ER and ICU doctor, and he got a hold of me very early, and he said, "Mom, you're done. You're out of there. I want you to go home, lock down, stay there." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. I'll just finish out the week." He's like, "No, you won't. You won't finish out the week." Like, oh my God, what about my classes? What about my students and my friends? I mean, we thrive on this communication, and this connection in addition, teaching, right? I mean, that is just so fundamental to my life and to the ZoomCrew. Anyway, so I got home and I'm like, what am I going to do? I knew I'd keep working out, but I just so missed my students. And it had only been a few days. But in my typical way, it was like, I'm impatient. And I'm like, okay, I hear a little bit about the Zoom thing. And I'm like, what is Zoom? So I get online, never heard of it before. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm fairly savvy on the computer, not like Brett. But for a 60-year-old lady, I'm pretty good. Anyhow, so I figure out how to do the Zoom thing to the best of my ability at the time. Sure. And I send out an email to, I don't even remember doing this. It was almost kind of like it was a dream. I sent it out maybe to like 10 of my friends, some of very avid exercisers who are all on the ZoomCrew today. And I said, I actually came across the email just a few weeks back, which was just so funny. I said, "Hey guys, it's me. Do you guys want to work out? And I'm going to try the Zoom thing, and I'll teach some classes, and we'll just see what happens. Okay, it'll just be fun. We get to see each other because I'm probably never going out of the house again." And so I teach this first class, and they join me. It was so grassroots. I had no idea what I was doing. And all I know is I wanted to work out and see my friends. And the next thing I know, 2 months later, we have 1,000 people on the ZoomCrew, strictly word of mouth. I never said anything to anybody. I never sent an email. I didn't do anything on Facebook, nothing, because I'm not a real social media person. And I gave it away free for the first 3 months because I don't have any intentions of starting business. I wasn't looking to make money. I was looking to stay connected to my people and anybody else who wanted to be connected and have a community. And the community just got bigger and bigger. And the other thing was, people said, "Come on, let me pay you. Let me do something." And I'm like, no, I'm not here. I didn't want to capitalize on anybody's suffering at the time. And it wasn't about that they couldn't afford something. It was about giving them a gift, giving them something free, made me feel better. And
well, you've done an amazing thing, really. I mean, you've helped a lot of people. Everyone loves what you're doing. So, and now you're charging, and you hired Brett.
Well, we had to, because what ended up happening was we now have, I think maybe 10 teachers and a couple coming up in the ranks. And I needed Brett because things just got super complicated and we had to, change platforms. And, we had to become very tech savvy and, we had to do it at least semi-pros. And so Brett just, he fell into this whether he liked it or not. I got to believe he liked it to some degree, I mean, isn't it funny? The marriage of a 35-year-old, very talented young man, and then me, a 60-year-old, and the two of us come together, which is so unusual.
Right. It's fabulous.
Great business partners, because Brett brought to the table creativity, and he's got his pulse, right on what works in marketing and how to communicate with people from a technological standpoint. And I bring, my years of experience and understanding how women think and what they need. And it's been great. We bounce off of each other. We've never been in a fight. And it's been just a beautiful thing. It really has.
Brett, your perspective. how you became involved and exactly what your role is and how you're helping the Zoom crew.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned that my involvement was really just, you know, a little bit here and there for those first few months when Allison and my mom were kind of conducting classes for free. But when it became very apparent that whether or not Allison intended this to be a business, that it had become a business. And it just kind of happened so organically that it grew to the point where whether or not we wanted it to be, it was a business. And I remember that first conference call we had, of course, on no other place other than Zoom, being the Zoom crew. I just, you know, kind of mentioned to them that you may not have asked for this, but you have a business here. You know, you do need to start charging, because they were losing money at that point, right? They had to make investments in technology to deliver these classes. And while they're so pure, and all credit goes to Allison on that, in truly creating an environment to really just keep the community alive and give back to the community in a time when it was really aching. And she used her background and her gifts in life, which are fitness, to keep this community alive. And the testimonials that we would receive and continue to receive to this day would make you weep if you read them. I mean, just really, really profound impacts on people's lives at a time when they needed it most. So I was drawn to the mission of ZoomCrew from early on. I was drawn to the idea of fitness. I've always been into fitness and wellness myself. And then the more that I worked with Allison, and at first it wasn't even a real professional relationship. It was just kind of helping out. And like everything with the Zoom crew, it just really happened organically in terms of advancing. But we realized that we needed to start charging for memberships. We wanted to have the fee be modest so that, you know, we weren't excluding anybody. But we really wanted to maintain a sense of community and giving back to the community. And so there's still a lot of things that we do to this day that are community driven, not necessarily, you know, revenue or profit driven. And so that again is Allison's generosity and giving spirit shining through. And I would say, you know, working with her and what we are able to accomplish as a small team and the impact that we have is something that just truly drew me to working with her and working with the Zoom crew. And I think it's what draws our members to us. And so I'm just grateful to be a part of it. It definitely was not the wrong place at the wrong time. I was joking there. It was the right place at the right time. We've really, you know, grown this into something that I'm super proud of and grateful to be partnered with Allison on, and, you know, excited to see what we can do with it into the future.
Allison, clearly this is a direct result of COVID-19. And you started with when COVID hit. I mean, your son Ben said, "Guess what, Allison? You're no longer going outside. You're done." And look at how creative you become. So tell us about the impact of COVID. And we're still in the middle as we're doing this at the end of October. COVID is getting worse. So it is what it is.
Yeah, much worse. You know, all you have to do is turn on a television, you know, for 2 minutes and you can hear. And right here in Michigan, you know, we're on the national news as, you know, with some of the I think yesterday was one of the highest in the country here in Michigan. And I will tell you, it was interesting. When we were transitioning right before we were transitioning from free to no charge to charge, I was inundated with emails. Are you still going to be with us? Are you going to stay with us? Are you going to stick with us through the summer? Or, you know, through the summer, excuse me. Are we still going to have this? And I'm like, yeah, of course we are. Right. Of course we are. I'm not going to desert you. And meanwhile, no idea how I'm going to do this, what we're going to do. And which is just sort of how I fly. And so, you know, I was terrified to charge, terrified. But with Brett's encouragement, you know, we went along and did it. And I said, okay, I'm going to look at this from in 3-month increments, because I couldn't look at this further. I'm like, who knows how long the pandemic's going to be? It'll probably be over in a few months. Not happening. So then I realized, well, now I got to look at this in 6 or 8 month increments. So here we are in this segment, and we are committed all the way through this pandemic now, and we had to continually reassure our members, yes, we're here, we're not leaving you. One of my friends, we were walking just yesterday, and she said to me, you know, I had this thought yesterday, and we were talking about the pandemic and how, and the upcoming election, and all the, not even the twin demics anymore, it's like quadruple demics, you know, and pandemics going on now with politics and all the violence, etc. And she said, you know, you just can't depend on anything anymore. You don't know what's going on from day to day. She said, but I realized the one thing that is consistent in my life that I can depend on is the ZoomCrew. And I'm like, wow, that's like so profound. And she said, no, I'm not sure.
You've created a safe haven.
She says, every day for 8 months, you girls have all been there. We haven't missed a day. Do you know that I haven't done this in my entire teaching career? I have taught, never taken a break as have any of my teachers for 8 months. We haven't missed a day, which is crazy. I've never done that in my entire career. And it's just, we're so passion driven. And so we're here, we're not going anywhere. And as Brett said, you know, we're excited to see where this takes us.
Well, you know, let's say pandemic ends soon. I mean, I'm not that optimistic. I think we're going to be with it for a while. But when it ends, I know in the legal profession, Zoom is here to stay. I think you're here to stay for the simple reason you're fulfilling a need for a lot of women who perhaps cannot get out, cannot go to fitness facilities. And so you're providing indefinitely an option. And think of the comfort of being able to work out in your bedroom, in your living room, wherever you are at home. So whether you like it or not, you are probably going to become a permanent fixture, even when COVID goes away. Think of it. I mean, you're offering so much. And I know Debbie, my wife, loves it. And your mother, Nancy, is phenomenal, Brett, and you have a phenomenal Zoom crew, really. So why don't you tell us about what else is going on with the Zoom crew? Because I know there are all kinds of classes. Tell our viewers about some of them, Allison.
Well, one of the things is we have, again, organically created, so if you want to call it an enrichment program, where we invite professionals to come and speak. We also have a book club that has been so successful, and this has taken our community to a whole nother level because, you know, everybody actually shows their video and talks just like they're in their living room with their coffee and their wine, and Nancy Powell and Shelley Schindler run that. And that's been going on for a couple months now, and it's just been wonderful. Everyone looks forward to it. The other thing, we recently had Dr. Jen Green. She's a naturopath, and she spoke about anxiety during the pandemic and offered tools, you know, more natural, holistic tools, how to deal with it. And the response for that was outstanding. And anyhow, so we've done nutrition presentations. We will be having a wonderful myotherapist, John Gifford, who I think a lot of people do know. He's quite well known in that community, and he's going to be on soon teaching our members about self-care and how they can treat themselves at home using, you know, modified techniques of myotherapy. So we have a lot of that going on. Another thing that we have, which is super important, and Brett gets credit for this, is we are partnered with the Empowerment Plan in Detroit. They are just a super special organization, and they are all about, this is interesting, so they've taken women off the streets homeless, who didn't have work, and they trained them how to make these coats that can also serve as a sleeping bag. And they are now, and Patagonia provides the fabric, and then they're trained, and they are now delivering these all over the country, which is, if you get on their website, you'll just be blown away. That'll make you cry.
Yeah.
And every time someone joins the ZoomCrew, we donate a membership to someone in this position in Detroit that's working either with them or connected to them somehow. And we also teach free yoga classes twice a month to the employees of the empowerment plan. And Ben, that's my son, and who reminds me of Ben very much. And
Your son's a great guy. What can I say?
what did you say? People
That's a great guy.
my son all the time. I get emails that he's my son. I'm like, okay, fine, yep.
It's the highest compliment I've received. Honestly, it is. So Allison's being modest in giving me credit for the partnership with Empowerment Plan, but truthfully, the one-for-one giving model is only an extension of what she created, with how generous the nature of the ZoomCrew began. And it seemed so obvious to us that when we went to a paid model, that we needed to find a way to continue to give back to the community. We did not want to lose that aspect of the business just because we were becoming a paid service. So that's where the Empowerment Plan just clicked so well, because it's predominantly women. It's really aimed at ending the homelessness cycle here in Detroit. And these women are truly amazing, and not able to afford a membership on their own. So that's where we partnered with them for the one-for-one model and giving away the memberships, but also taking it a step further, because we realized the synergy was so strong and we had such a bond with the mission of the Empowerment Plan in of itself, that we wanted to conduct private classes for them twice a month, where their employees go to a room that they have designated for classes. We actually have a class for them today that one of our instructors will be giving at noon. So the partnership has become really strong, and it's again continued to be such a strong part of what we do as an organization, which is giving back to the community and in any way that we can. But Allison, did you want to also discuss the types of classes, the actual fitness classes? We've talked a lot about community and some of the other stuff we do.
What are the types of classes that you offer? I think this is important for our viewers to learn about.
Yes. Well, first of all, we offer classes for all levels. So that includes, I think at this particular moment, we have about 32 classes on the schedule. We started with 4, and now we're up to 32. We recently just added, which has been beautifully received, is our Sit and Get Fit classes. So, which was very popular at the Jewish Community Center, and people who have limitations for whatever reason, whether it's injury, whether it's, a disease, whatever it may be. And the class is so wonderful that some people just enjoy it because they just want to be in a chair. Have you ever woken up in the morning, you're like, I don't want to work out, but I'll sit in a chair and lift some weights and whatever. Of course, it's not that simple. Anyways, that's been amazing. And we just started this last Saturday. Every couple times a month we launch a community class. I'm getting a little, off path here. But every time we want to offer something new, or we want to highlight a teacher, or just because we want to do it, another way to reach the community is we'll offer a class on the schedule, generally on the weekends, free to the entire community. Not just our immediate community, but to anybody who wants to take it. Okay, so back to the classes. We offer all kinds of weight training classes. We offer various yoga classes, from very gentle to vinyasa. We offer cardio classes, which can be hula hoop and stepping and all those types of classes. We offer kickboxing and strength. We offer, I don't know, Brett, kick in if I'm, when I'm forgetting. So many.
Yeah, I mean, a variety of fitness, all sorts of fitness classes and full yoga, core classes.
We offer the 30-minute classes, the blast classes, which everybody really loves. You get 30 minutes, boom, you're out. Those are like some of our most popular classes on the schedule. If I could offer swimming, I would. If somebody would donate a pool. Maybe next summer.
I mean, and this is, I'm the fitness aspect to it. There are more classes on there. There are classes that I didn't even know existed. I mean, all credit goes to Allison there and her background in terms of bringing in the classes and the world-class instructors. I mean, our instructors are just phenomenal. I'm super impressed. Every time Allison brings on a new instructor, first I sigh and go, oh my gosh, another instructor. And then I go and I sit on the class and I go, okay, all right, now I see why you brought them on. She's a phenomenal teacher. So,
Pilates.
Oh yeah, Pilates. Yeah, this is a constant theme for Allison and I, is her agreeing to do something and then having me figure out how to make it work. And me.
Allison, what demographics, typical ages?
Well, typically I would say from 50 on up. But and when I say on up, I'm talking way up. Like there's a few women that are 88 years old that are taking our classes. I mean, you see, and right here you spoke to the convenience of staying home. So for these women and, many others, even like myself, staying home is so convenient and so comfortable. And let's see, but by the way, we're not limited to that. We have a nice handful of women in their 40s. And we have men that take our classes as well. We have plenty, just not as many.
Yeah, so predominantly women.
Are drafting their husbands. This is what happens.
Allison,
work out together.
Believe it or not, we're running out of time, but I'd like to ask you the question: how do you see the ZoomCrew and Gracefully Graying collaborating and moving forward? Give us your view.
My view, let's see. Well, there's no question that we have this connection, this parallel connection, of the fact that we're dealing with and working with a very similar community, right? If you want to call us the baby boomers or, the aging community, whatever. And, I'm hoping that we can actually, help each other expose, our members to everything that you're offering, because that would help to enrich their lives. You cover so many different subjects that are so important and valuable in our lives and in their lives that I believe our members would find very interesting. And likewise, our hope is that perhaps your readers would find their way to the ZoomCrew.
Well, you're a definite component. I mean, keeping physically fit is so important.
Beyond, yes.
Final thoughts before we sign off.
Just again, as Allison iterated, I think the synergy is obvious. You have an interest in helping a community of people gracefully gray. I am maybe on the younger side, but you can see some streaks.
You're gracefully graying already.
I'm also gracefully graying, so I feel like I'm very much credited to be a part of this conversation. And we see ourselves as a component in that process, both by providing a social community support outlet for individuals, but also helping them stay physically fit. And we know that's part of what you have an interest in. So I think the synergy is obvious. And as Allison alluded to, I think we can, help each other out in terms of us giving you a platform and the way you have given us a platform. We look forward to, we also started at similar times. I think we realized that when we had a call a few weeks back, is that we both of our companies are new, right? So we hope to be able to grow alongside you, and we're excited to track your journey as we grow as well and see how.
We're looking forward to it. We're out of time. Brett Powell, Allison Kaplan, you're both wonderful guests. The Zoom crew is amazing, and I want to thank you both for being our guests on Gracefully Graying. Again, watch and share this video by going to our Gracefully Graying YouTube channel as well as Gracefully Graying, and be sure to like it and share it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.